If you still haven't managed to watch 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, you really should run like a rage virus-infected zombie to your nearest theaters, especially because of Cillian Murphy's surprising cameo at the end, as he reprises his role as Jim after 2 whole decades. If you think about it, both old and new fans of the franchise were left speechless after seeing Jim still living in the same place that he did in 28 Days Later. After seeing that, I at least have been foaming at the mouth about what his cameo means for the next and final film in the 28 Years Later trilogy. So without wasting another moment, let's get to cooking theories and discuss what might be in store for Cillian Murphy's Jim in the future of the 28 Years franchise. Now, by the end of The Bone Temple, both Dr. Ian Kelson and Sir Jimmy Crystal meet their ends after a chaotic confrontation inside the memorial that the Doctor built for the dead. We then see a seemingly cured Samson arrive to take away Kelson's body while Spike and Jimmy Inc., aka Kelly, run away after being free of the crazy cult. From here, the film takes us to a cottage in the same place, where Jim, Selina, and Hannah had escaped during the end of 28 Days Later. The house we now see in Cumbria looks cozy and lived in as it's stocked with books and food, thus giving us all the signs we need of people setting down roots in a place for decades. The final scene of The Bone Temple follows Jim calmly drinking tea as he's quizzing questions regarding a history test to a girl named Sam, who seems to be his daughter. It can be presumed that Sam is the child Jim had with Selina, especially because 28 Days Later ended with them sharing a kiss. Having said that, you should know that Selina and Hannah are both nowhere to be found, so that got me thinking if they had died, or may have been rescued, or maybe they were just away from the house at that moment. While we don't get answers to that, we do see Jim's comparatively quieter life getting disrupted as strange noises coming from the outside soon reveal that someone nearby is being chased by a horde of the infected. We don't get a clear shot of them, but guessing from the silhouettes and Kelly's unmistakable red tracksuit, it strongly suggests that it is Spike and Kelly who are on the run from these zombies. When Sam asks Jim if they should help them out, he agrees, and with that, the film comes to an end. If you think about it, much like the shock ending of 28 Years Later, which unexpectedly introduced Jack O'Connell's unhinged Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, 28 Days Later, The Bone Temple also saved its biggest emotional beat for the very last scene, thus leaving us all burning with anticipation for the third 28 Years Later film. That ending naturally leaves us with questions, especially about what comes next, and one of the biggest is whether Selina will return in the third film. For now, that remains uncertain. The writer of the film, Alex Garland, has not addressed her potential involvement, and actress Naomi Harris herself has not commented on it either, even after Cillian Murphy's return was confirmed. So far, all we know is at this stage, Cillian Murphy's Jim is the only returning character that has been confirmed. Although this surprising cameo did make me wonder if Jim was even rescued at the end of 28 Days Later, because, as far as I remember, in the closing moments of that film, Jim and his friends unravel a giant banner reading "Hello" after they see a plane flying over their heads, with the hope that whoever was in the plane notices them and would come to their rescue. Even though these characters don't make a comeback in the first sequel, 28 Weeks Later, that was released in 2007, we did see that widespread rescue and rebuilding attempts were made in the wake of the first attack of the infected, which made it easy for us to grow hopeful that Jim's group would indeed have been brought to some form of safety. Naturally, after seeing Jim now, we're all wondering what the real deal is. I mean, whoever was flying the plane in the first film, did they not see the banner and just flew past them? Or did they see it and just couldn't care enough to help? Or maybe Jim and the others were rescued for a brief period of time, only to get trapped again when the rage virus infection broke out once again 28 weeks later. Honestly, it's been so long that I couldn't help but wonder if Jim ever ended up joining a large group again, or did he simply stick to the people he was close to? Because the final line of The Bone Temple, being about Jim agreeing to help out Spike and Kelly, clearly indicates that he might have stepped in to help other survivors throughout these 28 years. Even then, the most pressing question inevitably circles back to what happened to Selina and Hannah. If Selina and Hannah are still alive, it's really not wrong to believe that Sam is her daughter with Jim, or that Hannah might be living with them because both of them had protected her during the events of 28 Days Later, when she was just a teenager still reeling from her father's death. I mean, these three did seem to be strongly bonded together at the end of the first film, but given the unrelentingly dangerous world they exist in, it's certainly easy to presume both Selena and Hannah could have died tragically in the past few decades. However, given the quick look we get at Jim's current life, there is plenty of room for other circumstances. Like I previously said, they might just have gone out to get supplies, or maybe Hannah separated from Jim and Selena at some point for whatever reason and is out there somewhere with a different group. There are just so many possibilities, but this is still a pretty important question left open for the next film to hopefully answer. So far, we do know that a third film in the 28 Years Later trilogy is in the works, with Cillian Murphy at the helm as an executive producer and a returning star. With Alex Garland writing the script, we will also see Danny Boyle returning to the director's chair again. According to Nia DaCosta, the trilogy has always been about Spike, but with every movie we've gotten to see other characters who have been fleshed out. So for that third film, that character is going to be Jim. Even the filmmakers have no clue about what might happen, but Murphy's return does help give balance to a rather unnerving movie franchise. So for the ones cooking random theories about Jim dying in his quest to save Spike and Kelly, I don't think any of that is happening after the hype they've built around Cillian Murphy's return. I think it could be possible that Jim takes Spike and Kelly in for a bit, which will definitely be a huge upgrade from the life they had been living with Sir Jimmy and his ritual killings. Moreover, there are plenty of loose threads for the writers to play with going into the third film. I could totally see Jamie, Spike's father, tracking his son all across the mainland, or the pregnant woman, Kathy, returning back into the fold, especially because this trilogy has been consistently fascinated by pregnancy and raising children after the rage virus outbreak. At least there's one thing we can be sure about, and that's witnessing Jim's evolution from a random bike messenger to a father actively trying to survive a zombie-run apocalyptic world. Jim would definitely be a very dominant element in the third film, and the filmmakers plan to make the final installment of the trilogy a bigger story about redemption. For those who don't know, Nia DaCosta had planned the first film to be about the nature of family, the second one about the nature of evil, and so inevitably it would make sense for the third one to be about the nature of redemption. Apparently, it's always been the team's ambition to set all the films in England where no American soldiers would arrive to save anyone. Moreover, with Spike and Kelly, you could see how the idea of redemption plays into their arc in the third movie, because Kelly would surely want to repent for her time with Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal. Similarly, with Spike, it could be about him abandoning his home and finding himself with a cult that makes him kill a non-infected person for the first time. Now, I don't know on what front Jim could seek his redemption, but I do see him helping Spike get back to his home on Holy Island. There is, of course, Alpha Samson, who also fits into this theme by helping the world find the process through which Dr. Kelson had cured him of the rage virus infection. Honestly, whatever shape the eventual threequel takes, 28 Days Later, the Bone Temple has done an excellent job of building excitement for what comes next after kicking off the year with a genuinely memorable blockbuster. It's also rare these days for a modern franchise to release two films so close together, and even rarer for both to feel this confident, after each was driven by a distinct creative vision that somehow works better because of their differences. Naturally, my expectations will be high when the 28 Years Later saga returns for its final chapter. Still, with Cillian Murphy back in the fold, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland have a real chance to bring everything together and deliver a finale worthy of what is already shaping up to be a standout trilogy. Meaning, whatever happens after, I am seated and ready for it right from now. Having said that, what are your theories about the final film in the 28 Years Later trilogy? Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below.